This last week has been a new low, even for the EV shills. They're all scrabbling about trying to make a decent headline, positive information out of nothing. Yesterday was the lowest of the low. Embarrassing, disgraceful, disgusting. Before, I've accused them of bending the truth. White lies, really. Cherry picking information, the good bits, and telling you the good bits, but not telling you the bad bits. Yesterday was just lies. And not only that, not only were they lies, but they were laughable lies, which smacks of absolute desperation. How could you get so desperate to make a fool of yourself all over the internet? Electric cars outsell petrol for the first time in UK in landmark month. New data for October 2025 reveals that sales of battery electric vehicles have officially surpassed those of new petrol cars for the first time. Now, the person here has just put their name as staff writer, and I'm not surprised because whoever it is should be disgusted with themselves, and that was yesterday. I couldn't even be bothered to make a video yesterday because I looked at that and I thought, you desperate people. I actually felt sorry for them yesterday. New figures released by New Automotive show that in a month of collapsing sales for fossil-fueled vehicles, BEVs exhibited continued strength. Battery electric cars captured 26.25% of all new car registrations, their strongest market share performance of 2025 so far. This surge saw 31,997 new electric cars registered, a 5.5% increase compared to the previous year. In stark contrast, petrol car sales plummeted by a staggering 35.7% year on year, falling to just 31,882. For the first time, electric cars took second place in the sales charts, pushing petrol into third. So electric cars were second. What was first if petrol was third? The watershed moment occurred against the backdrop of a tough, shrinking market, with total new car registrations falling by 17.7% compared to October 2024. When combined with plug-in hybrids, PHEVs, which accounted for 12% of sales, the data shows that 40% of all new cars registered last month came with a plug. In a month defined by market decline for petrol and diesel vehicles, battery electric cars have demonstrated their resilience in these tougher market conditions, said Corinne Riley, data analyst at New Automotive. The direction of travel is unmistakable. Motorists are moving towards electric vehicles and not looking back. Absolute rubbish. Absolute rubbish. Garbage. Now, I'm going to tell you another story, one of my motor trade stories. I used to get paid a basic wage, a monthly bonus, a quarterly bonus, and a yearly bonus. When we were coming into 99, they were changing the way registrations were. So it meant I took all my books home, the past 10 years accounts, and put all the figures together, the best and the worst months from 1 to 12. Over the 10 years, then I averaged each of them out. And then I looked at the new registration where, for a start, I think it was, you'd end up with 3 registrations in this particular year while we were transitioning, and not January and August. So instead we were going to have January, March, September. January, good month. February, only an idiot would register a car in February when the new registration is coming out in March, on March the 1st. And then you've got all the way up to August. Only an idiot would register a car in August when you've got the new registration in September, on September the 1st. Then you've got October, November, only an imbecile, complete and utter, no mark would register a car in December, because especially on New Year's Eve, because in a few hours your car's going to be a year old. And then you get back onto January and so on. You will notice that the months that only an idiot would register a car in are the months when EVs do the best, because those are the easiest months to fudge the figures, to register a few more. And because the percentage is so low, your percentage shoots up and you say, oh yeah, we've sold so many cars. Not in the number, in a percentage, because a percentage doesn't matter. Whenever you see in the motor trade a percentage, it's a lie. Okay? It's a lie. I did a lot of work on this to do my business plan for the next year. And then my boss came down one day. I was waiting to go to the meeting to discuss my budget plan, my business plan for the next year. And I'd put a lot of time and effort into it, and it was good. I mean, now when I look back on it, it wasn't just good, it was perfect, because I predicted exactly what would happen with the registrations and when we would sell the cars. No. My boss come down, give me an envelope. He says, Barry, I've worked hard to get you this deal. It's a good deal. Can you sign it and let me have it back? So I looked at it and immediately I said, I can't sign this. If I sign that, it's going to cost me about 30 grand next year, because I'll hit my bonus in January, then I've got no chance in February, no chance in March, and right the way through the year, I'll be behind all the way. I can't sign it. He then went upstairs to make a phone call. There was a brochure cabinet or cupboard at the back of his office, and I used to keep a glass there. So I shot upstairs, I went up the back way, he was going up the front way. I knew what he was going to do. I went in the brochure cupboard, I put the glass against the wall, and there were only plasterboard walls, so I could hear what he was saying. I could only hear one side of the conversation. And it's basically, I'm sorry, Barry won't sign his new wage. He says that we're going to lose money. And he'd obviously realised when I explained to him why we'd lose money out of our wages, he realised he was in the shit too. But he was using me as a bullet to head office. Anyway, I hears the phone go down. I had to wait for him to go past the brochure cupboard, down the stairs, and then I legged it 3 at a time, downstairs, went in my office, sat down, like, he comes in, you've got until the end of the month to sign it, otherwise you're up the road. Oh, right, okay. I used to do a lot of leasing company deals. This is how I know. When you people tell me I don't know about leasing, I used to sell my finance package, my cars, to leasing companies, because I did it cheaper than them, and I could supply a full maintenance contract. I didn't have to do any work. I didn't have to speak to customers. All I used to do was send my stock list out and all the deals I'd worked out. Sit at my desk, easy street, I knew I was going to do my target. That's how I become sales manager in 6 months, and that's how I ended up always selling more cars than the salesman. And also my sales administrator, who took poorly, and the company wanted to sack after she'd been with them 20 years. So I asked them if I did her job and we didn't need to take anybody on, would they keep a job open? Yes. Good for them. Here's me doing 3 jobs: sales manager, sales administrator, and selling cars too. So January, as I predicted, I'd got my bonus. I'd done enough. February, load of lease deals, load of used cars, got my bonus. March, load of lease deals, got my bonus. April, last day of the month, boss comes in. And I could always tell when he was lying or there was something wrong. He used to go bright red, and he used to stand with his hands behind his back. We used to call him the Grim Reaper, because every time you saw him, it'd be bad news. Honestly, it'd be bad news. So he come in and he says, head office want you to trade 2 cars to one of the other branches. So I said, I don't want to trade 2 cars. All my stock is perfect. It's all ready to go. It's all clean. It's all photographed. It's all on the internet. I don't want to trade. You've got to. They've said it. Here's the prices you've got to trade them at. What? Looked at them. I said, they're worth more than that. I could get more than that in BCA down the road. Barry, you're having a good time. We've done well this quarter. Others aren't. You know, there'll be a time when you're not doing so well, when we'll get the favour back. No, I work too hard not to do well. I want to keep the cars. Just do it or else. So I trades the cars. Now, what I forgot to mention in this story is we had a fantastic accounts department. And at the end of each month, at 5:30 on the last day of the month, all the invoices, all the car sales, everything had been input. Pressed a button and you could see how much profit you'd made. Absolutely to the penny. So these two prices, I went upstairs, I traded these two cars, and then a couple of days later, I got my, well, I got the bad news. And the bad news was that in order to get my bonus, I had to achieve 70%. I was at 69.8%. Missed my bonus. Now, you can catch it up, or you could catch it up, if you exceeded it, the target next month. Next month, same thing happens. Comes in, you need to trade these three cars. Again, no, I don't want to trade these three cars. That will cost me money, and this garage money, and you money too. Just do it. Traded it. Gets my wages through 69.5%. Now, once, fair enough. Twice, you know, fool me twice, you ain't going to do it again. So the next month, this is my last chance to make up my April bonus, my May bonus, get my June bonus, and my quarterly bonus if I hit my target. I'm very wary now. So that particular month, I didn't report all my new cars. I did the deal, did all the paperwork, but I kept the files in my desk. So a certain amount of vehicles were unaccounted for. Also, my demo bonuses. I'd got all my demo bonuses and I'd got a credit note through. I'm sat there waiting. Sure enough, round about 5 o'clock, boss comes in. Barry, you need to trade these three cars at these prices. So I said, okay, boss. I always used to call him boss when he knew he wasn't my boss. He knew very well that I was better than him, and that I should be doing his job. No, looked at me, no argument. Who are you? What have you done with Barry? But no, sure enough, I'm sat behind the desk. So I go upstairs, the accountant, I want to trade these three cars. And then I waited a little bit while he put it all in. And then I said, and I want to put these deals through and my demo bonus allowance. And he looked at me, and the accountant didn't like me. He looked at me and he laughed. He knew what I was doing. Anyway, long story short was I made up the loss from April and May, hit my target in June, and I got my quarterly bonus. About 2 weeks later, I got the biggest bollocking of all time. And do you know what I did? I laughed because it was so funny. They were telling me off for making money and being the only sales manager to hit my targets out of 29 garages, because they didn't want to pay me. They wanted me to sell the cars, they wanted to make profit, but they didn't want to pay me for working my nuts off to do it. So now then, this is kind of a small garage. What do you think about manufacturers when a vehicle's registered? Do you think they know to the percent at the end of each month, on the last day, the week before? Do you think that they know exactly how many cars they've registered and how many cars they need to register? Because I can tell you, they knew back in the 80s, because your zoner used to ring you up and say, you need to register these cars. We're just behind Ford. We're just behind Ford. You need to register these. And we'd say, you're just behind Ford. We're not. We've made profit. Thanks very much. So, do you think it's a coincidence that electric vehicles are just slightly above where they need to be, but petrols have dropped right the way back? Do you think that's a coincidence? It's not that they can't sell petrols, they can't sell EVs. So they have to limit the amount of petrols they sell and are allowed to be sold. And like now, I'm sorry, you can't have one of those till January, Mr. Customer. It's in the compound, it's at the docks, it's going to be made at the factory, but you can't have it till January. Because if I let you have this car, that's going to cost the manufacturer 12 grand, or they're going to have to buy yet another vehicle off the Chinese or Tesla. Or carbon credits, not a vehicle. The carbon credits off one of their electric vehicles if they fall short. So they know exactly what percent. Don't kid yourself that petrol cars aren't selling. They are being limited and held back because it would cost the manufacturer too much money. So, do you understand that? Do I look like I'm lying? Do I look like I'm kidding you? Am I looking up? Searching my brain for an excuse? Watch the EV shills. Watch them when they're talking. The body language. They may as well just have a big shirt with, I'm a liar. I'm an EV liar. So, but that explains the market and why petrol cars appear not to be selling. And let's see, what do they say? Pushing petrol into third. The watershed moment occurred against the backdrop of a tough shrinking market. A controlled market, not shrinking, with total new car registrations falling by 17.7%. Okay, they've fallen by 17 points, and I did this in yesterday's video. So, with the other 17% up here, if it hadn't fallen, and the amount of EVs that they've managed to get into the system by hook or by crook is not enough to make up 22% of the amount they would have sold. So what do? Now it's 22%. What a load of wits. The collapse of combustion, the decline of traditional powertrains was not just steep, it was a near total rout. While petrol's 35.7% drop was stark, diesel vehicles fared just as poorly, with registrations falling 35%. Together, new petrol and diesel cars now account for just 31% of the entire UK market, 26.16% petrol, 5.02% diesel. Only a few years ago, the two segments enjoyed near total dominance. Well, of course they did. What was it, LPG? Moron. Even hybrid HEV models, long seen as a halfway house and in-betweeny, were not spared, despite remaining the single largest segment at 30.6%. Well, they're petrols, aren't they? Let's not kid ourselves, they're not electric, they're petrols. Hybrid volumes recorded a significant 16.3% decline. The only segment to show any growth at all were BEVs, plus 5.5%, and PHEVs, plus 3.1%. Industry experts. Industry experts are people who won't put the name to an article because they know very well they're lying. We're quick to frame the figures as a definitive and permanent shift in the market. The data tells a very different story to the headlines. Yes, it does, because you're lying. Commented Tanya Sinclair. They all seem to be ladies in these fictional stories. CEO of Electric Vehicles UK, challenging narratives of consumer doubt. Petrol sales are collapsing while electric vehicle sales continue to surge. Drivers aren't confused, they're informed and savvy. No, they're not, because if they were informed and savvy, they would not buy an electric vehicle that loses a fortune. Oh, Fiona Howarth, director at Octopus Electric Vehicles, echoed the sentiment. The tide has turned. This isn't a blip, it's a shift. Drivers are choosing electric for value, performance and progress. And that momentum's only growing, should be. Now, Fiona Howarth, I'm an affiliate for Octopus Energy. There's a link in the description. If you change your electric supplier to Octopus, I get £50 and you get £50. So it's a good deal for me. But what I'm telling you is don't change your electric account to get a cheap overnight EV charging rate. I wouldn't have an EV charging outside my house while my family's asleep. Not unless I was sat there while it's charging with like 50 fire extinguishers. And immediately it stopped charging, move it down the drive and away from the house. My electric bill, Octopus cut my electric bill by a lot. I don't charge my electric vehicle at home, but I still save money. So do it for that. Don't do it for the electric tariff. The other thing is, Fiona Howarth can't control her own business. I have tried and tried. Electric vehicles are the future because they're being pressed. Some electric vehicles, if they suit your needs, they're absolutely ideal and you will save money. If they suit your needs, you can charge at home. Do you want to be burnt to death? Probably not. So they have this affiliate scheme for salary sacrifice. I have tried and tried and tried. I've emailed them, I've rang them, I've sent them messages, and not one person has got back to me about it. Now they're responsible for trying to move electric vehicles. And also, the last time I went on their page, there's a big advert for Chinese vehicles, and I just thought, how disgusting. Brand wars. The Kodak moment looms. The October data also reveals a dramatic divergence in performance between manufacturers, separating the brands, embracing the transition from those being left behind. Listen, don't talk about shit that you don't know about. If you want to talk about not getting back to customers, I'll listen to you because you're perfect. Don't tell us how to do our jobs. There are some clear winners in October's car sales figures, said Ginny Buckley, Chief Executive of Electrifying.com. And she's not averse to, just leaving a few figures out. But with petrol sales collapsing, the writing is on the wall for those still dragging their feet. It begs the question, which car maker will become the Kodak of the industry? I'll tell you which car maker will become the Kodak of the industry. All the people who just make fully electric cars. Because when something better comes along, and it will, than electric, or when there's a disaster, which there will be, mark my words, there will be a disaster. And that'll change your mind. When you start thinking about your family being in a car that could set fire, or like that Tesla the other day, hit the curb, was in a minor collision, burnt out completely. The smoke inhalation injuries kill people. The 2 people yesterday that died in an electric bike fire, taken to hospital unresponsive. Don't say anything about 3rd degree burns, unresponsive. So I'm assuming it's the fumes. The clear winners Buckley referred to had a stellar month. No, they didn't. Ford, the brand's BEV registrations rocketed by 131.9% year on year. They were hardly making any EVs last year. And this year, or these last couple of months, the Puma has got a £3,750 grant off the government. Let's talk facts here, not propaganda. If you don't understand percentages, figures, car sales, keep your mouth shut. And these people that go to them for sound bites, why do you think they go for them? Because they say what they want to hear. Not the truth, what they want to hear. And this article, garbage. A success Buckley attributes in part to being the only brand currently qualifying for the full £3,750 government EV grant. Renault, the French marque, saw a 102.3% rise in BEV sales, and an astonishing 49.4% of its monthly sales were electric, with BEVs becoming its highest selling powertrain for the first time. I'm not even going to read this crap about BYD. I don't care. I don't give a about BYD or any other Chinese makes, because the British government have sold all our legacy manufacturers down the road. Sold them down the road completely. Letting cheap cars, subsidised cars, come into the country, forcing the other people to discount the vehicles, causing a massive depreciation crisis. And then, in order to hit the targets that they can't hit because of these cheap Chinese pieces of shit, they've got to buy carbon credits off the Chinese. What a joke. That's a HEV there, 30.6%, BEV 26.2%, petrol 26.2%. So petrol are in third place with exactly the same percentage as electric. So why isn't electric in third place? FEV 12%, diesel 5%. That's what caught my eye yesterday. Petrol dethroned. For the first time, more UK drivers bought new electric cars than petrol cars in October. This is the SMMT figures, 2025, October. Last year, BEVs, 29,802. This year, 36,830. Last year, FEVs, 13,832. This year, 17,601. HEVs, 18,862. This year, 19,250. Oh, hang on a second. Petrol, 72,831. This year, this October, 64,360. I mean, to be honest, when I went to school, 64,000 was more than 36,000. But 64,360, because I don't believe my own eyes these days and what people are telling me, I'm going to do it on a calculator just to make sure that I'm right. Minus 36,830 equals petrol cars sold 27,530 more than battery electric vehicles. Now let's do it another way. Let's percent, because the battery electric vehicle people like percentages. So 36,830 divided by 57 equals times 100 equals. There you go. Petrol sold 43% more than battery electric vehicles, but yet October EV market, electric cars outsell petrol for the first time in UK in landmark month. Don't forget that FEVs and HEVs, the majority of the propulsion is by an ICE engine. So they're not electric. There are as much ICE vehicles, in fact, there are more ICE vehicles than there are electric vehicles. So all you people that have commented at the bottom and all this crap, you shouldn't be in the motor trade. You're a disgrace to the motor trade. New Automotive, accelerating the switch to electric. You are, aren't you? Our partners and funders. This is the ones that released that report. There you go. I've said about this before. I think that is absolutely disgraceful. They look to me like none of them own an iron. They look to me like they just been to the charity shop to get all the stuff, and it's, you know, nothing against charity shops, but at least get the right size. The two at the front, training shoes, what does that tell you? I'm so cool. I can wear trainings to work. This young lady here, obviously somebody's died in her family and her pants are at half mast. It's just actually sad. It's very, very sad. Our results change based on evidence. We use data to drive change. Our research helps shape key policy decisions. We turn complex data into clear stories, showing the real benefit of electric cars, from less CO2 to cleaner air. More electric cars on the road means more drivers free from ever-rising fuel costs. It means cities where people can move and people can breathe. Electric cars are key to managing climate risk, but the transition to electric vehicles is not happening fast enough. We exist to find ways to speed it up the world over. Strategic partners: ZapMap, Octopus Energy, the Bright Initiative, not too bright, supporting this lot, Cultura, Possible, the Association for Renewable Energy and Clean Technology, usual suspects, Energy and Climate Intelligence Unit, Carbon Tracker, Transport and Environment, EVA England. I have to say, this reminds me of your boys took a hell of a beating. Maggie Thatcher, Winston Churchill.
Lord Nelson, Sir Winston Churchill, Sir Anthony Eden, Henry Cooper, Lady Diana, Maggie Thatcher, can you hear me? Your boys took a hell of a beating.
What a disgrace. Absolute disgraceful. I have nothing but contempt for these people. Nothing. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video. Bye bye.